How is it going, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 7 of Hobby Talk, a cardboard podcast. I am your host, Murph. I got my amazing friend and co-host, Ricky Rips. Ricky, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. The only reason I'm wearing this beanie right now is not because of the team, it's because it's freezing in Chicago. So,
Uh-oh, it's chilly weather. Well, hopefully our topics today will be some, I don't want to say heated debates, but hopefully it can kind of warm us up, get the blood flowing a little bit. But before we dive into anything else, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you do anything special? Did you do anything fun? Keep it low key.
yeah, we kept it low key. I stayed in Chicago for Thanksgiving, coming back home for Christmas. So, hopefully, get to see everyone when I go there.
That's what I'm
How about
talking
you?
about.
How was your Thanksgiving? You see everyone?
No, I just went to my mom's. I just hung out there, had dinner, watched a little bit of football, and then I went home. I wanted to enjoy the day off for obviously the holiday because it's going to be very stressful. It's going to be a lot of work here at the shop between now and Christmas since we'll be open every single day, 7 days a week. So I just kind of wanted to enjoy just kind of a chill day of doing absolutely nothing. So that's what I
Oh,
did,
what's
and
going
that was fun. All right. With the pleasantries out of the way, we do have abundance of topics to talk about. And I'm not exactly sure where to start, but I'm very intrigued with the topic that you jotted down of Josh Allen because it was. I'm not going to sit here and say Josh Allen sucks because he doesn't. But does his play or his level of success he's endured so far warrant the kind of market hype that he's currently been getting? I mean, people are saying buy Josh Allen, but is he really worth the buy right now, Ricky? So where do you stand on the whole Josh Allen thing where the Bills might even miss the playoffs?
Yeah, so I was looking at it earlier. We thought the AFC East was going to be a powerhouse this year, and now the Dolphins are the only team that's above 500. It's insane.
I mean, when it comes to the AFC East, I mean, the Dolphins are playing as well as we expected. The Bills, I feel like there's no excuse. The Jets, they obviously lost Aaron Rodgers, and I sat here, excuse me, and I've said that the Patriots were going to suck. I mean, even on my old podcast, I said that the Patriots were going to suck. How are they going to do good? And I honestly thought they were going to go 5-12. That might be an overshoot, honestly, way back when I made that prediction. But I mean, I pulled up Josh Allen Prism cards, and I kind of alluded to it before we even hit record. But over the past 3 months on a PSA 9 Prism just base, his cards have dropped 39%. Current price is around $63. If you want a 10, down 38%. Current price around 256. Let's just get a nice little. Let's just go with silver. Let's just be a little spicy here. The silver is down 16.6%. Current price is still $3,600. So there is still a value in a market there. But should it be that high? Or maybe for the base cards, should it be that low? I know you kind of alluded to, is Josh Allen a buy right now? So I pose you the question. Is he a buy right now?
I it doesn't look like things are getting better in Buffalo between the whole Diggs thing and them just being not good right now. So you might have to wait until the off season to buy Josh Allen when people realize how good he's actually not.
So I look at it one of two ways here. I look at it exactly like that. You can either just sit and wait, and this might kind of segue into my next topic here, but you can either sit and wait and hope that his cards do go up, or if you're looking from the other end, hope that his cards do go down. So maybe you can buy them if you're just a Josh Allen fan, a Bills fan, whatever. But also, where they're sitting, it doesn't look good. However, we still be surprised that if they miss the playoffs. I mean, honestly, I really would be surprised if they missed the playoffs, which is how bad the AFC has turned out to be with all the injuries and the lackluster performances from a bunch of different teams. I mean, I would be really surprised if they did miss the playoffs, as bad as their record is. And if he gets in and he plays well, obviously there's going to be a correlation there. But if they miss out, then why are we buying Josh Allen cards again in a league and a hobby that's so derived on championships? he's not going to have one, and he's not even going to have a chance to get one. So if I'm holding Josh Allen cards, when do I cut my losses? And this is my segue into the next topic, because I really do want to talk about this, because some guy here at the shop really wasn't familiar. He didn't know when to cut his losses. And you see people at shows, they just have jacked up prices. And I see that's one of your topics that you wanted to talk about, because they don't want to cut their losses. When do we cut our losses with Josh Allen? When does that $3,600 Prism card become 2,000, let's say, or lower?
Hmm. So how old is he right? He's not too old, right? He's probably like
Josh Allen, age 27.
27. Okay, so he still has time to redeem himself. I don't know if he needs a new change of scenery. I don't know if he needs a whole new team built around him, new coach. I don't know what it is, but he still has a chance. It's not like he's bad. He was never like a bad quarterback or anything. I think it's just a situation.
I mean, when it comes to Josh Allen, I mean, I didn't really like the hype coming out of college to begin with. I thought he was more of a day two kind of a guy, but teams will always reach, for quarterbacks when they need them. And then you have his poor performance before they got Stephon Diggs. And I always tell people this. I mean, they say Mac Jones sucks. Look at Josh Allen before he got Stephon Diggs. He was on his way out of Buffalo. He wasn't that good. They bring in Stephon Diggs, and he balls out. They go with the AFC title game, and Josh Allen is obviously a top tier quarterback. But then you take away Brian Daboll, his offensive coordinator, who hand in hand really made him who he was. Now we're kind of seeing potentially the true Josh Allen that we once saw, and a lot of people forgot about, and that's that lackluster kind of a quarterback, really. I mean, do I cut my losses now with Josh Allen? I'm going to say no. Obviously, everyone's going to be different. If you need the money, or if you just, see another opportunity, fine. But I still think that there is a lot of potential for Josh Allen, especially with the lackluster conference. And if they do sneak in, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how it all plays out. So let's stick in the AFC East, and you want to talk about Mac Jones. What do we talk about? Should we throw Bailey Zappi into the mix too? What do you want to talk about?
I just don't even know where to start. Like, I saw someone say that the Patriots 2024 quarterback isn't on the roster right now, and I just hope that's true at this point.
My thing is it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. The problem's not the quarterback position. Now, is the quarterback position not helping? They're not helping. They're not. But people, at least around here, are saying draft Caleb Williams, draft Drake May. How many times have we seen these high-tier prospects get drafted to a bad team in a bad offense and fail? I mean, we could do this all day long with all the bust quarterbacks in the past 10 to 15 years. It's not about the quarterback position is a huge factor. Don't get me wrong. But if I tell people this all the time, you put Mac Jones in a Miami offense, in a San Francisco offense, hell, put him in a Buffalo offense. He will put him in Dallas for all I care. He'll do significantly better because he has talent around him. Look at Josh Allen. We were just talking about him. Dude was a bum. He was a bust before Stephon Diggs. Then you give him a top-tier receiver in the league. Then you give him a great offensive coordinator. Now Josh Allen looks like an elite quarterback, or did look like an elite quarterback. And I think that's the same way with Mac Jones. I mean, when he had elite talent and coaching around him in Alabama, he looked good. When he had elite coaching and a great offensive line his rookie year, he looked good, even with bad receivers. The issue is not the quarterback, especially when you're looking at Caleb Williams. He's crying to his mom on the sidelines after a loss. He's declining to talk to reporters post-game after the loss to, I believe, Oregon it was. Like, you can't do that in the NFL, and that just screams red flags to me. That really, really does. And the whole thing with, like, Drake May, I mean, of course, I'm just talking because these are the two top quarterback prospects out of the draft. He plays at University of North Carolina in the ACC, Atlantic Coastal Conference. It's a weak conference in terms of football, at least. I mean, Clemson's a shell of themselves. So who has he really played and who's he really beat? I mean, I know there's Florida State, but I mean, whatever. This is not a college football discussion. I just think it's a bigger issue than the quarterback. And yes, you have Mac Jones still technically contract through next year. You have Bailey Zappi contract. But can we finally put the conversation to bed that Bailey Zappi is better and should play over Mac Jones? Can we like put that to bed, please? Because he clearly blows too. Thank you for my TED Talk.
I just think they need to stop doing this whole flip flopping quarterbacks mid game and all that. Like, just stick to one guy.
This
Like,
put
it's
in
been
Malik
what,
Cunningham.
four games in a row or something like that Mac Jones got benched. Like, what's that? What's the point? What is that doing for anyone? Either
And
just keep
like,
him in the whole game or put one of the bench guys in for the whole game.
because like I heard on the radio probably like last week, and this was before the Giants lost, like he probably has like a psychological issue, maybe some anxiety. And I obviously having a psych background, I can see it. When he drops back in the pocket, he has less than 2 seconds to get rid of the ball, or he's getting crushed because his offensive line is just abysmal. Any quarterback is going to be scarred, and he's going to be seeing ghosts and such just because what reassurance do I have that I'm going to be protected for what 2.7 to 3 seconds is what a quarterback should have to throw in the pocket? Nothing. That's why it's in who is he throwing to begin with? Besides Demario Douglas, Ricky, can we sit here and confidently say that the Patriots like just list off the Patriots receivers and them not be in the bottom 100 receiver? Like we can't do that. Again, so who's he throwing to? Who's protecting? It's a bigger issue than the quarterback position, and I need people to realize that. Is Mac Jones the solution? Maybe not. Maybe so. I don't know. But he's not the big issue. It is bigger than the quarterback. Bailey Zappi blows, and he's not the resolution either. But, I mean, Malik Cunningham, though, I mean, we flashes during preseason. He looked kind of good. People were excited. Put him in. Nothing to lose.
I was going to say, at this point, we have nothing to lose. If he comes in, excites everyone up, has a good game, gets some morale back into the stadium.
I mean, he
Maybe.
brings you that flash of like Lamar. He brings you that flash of like a young Russell Wilson, just being able to move in the pocket, strong arm. Doesn't have the size, but kind of like Josh Allen. Can throw the ball, can run, can pick up yards.
Doesn't even have to be a young Russell Wilson. You see what they're doing right now?
Russell Wilson's, rejuvenated out there. And people last year were saying that he's washed up, and he did look washed up. Let's not decline that. But like, even as great as he's playing, he's a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl MVP. I think he won MVP that year. Actually, I'm not too sure. Either way, he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. But no one's talking about Russell Wilson in cards. And we talked about this with Corey Seager last time, or maybe I talked about it the episode without you. I forget. But like these great players that are playing very well and have been for a long time, no one's talking about them. No one cares about Corey Seager. No one cares about Russell Wilson. I'm trying to think of another guy. No one cares about like Freddie Freeman, for example, when he won MVP and when he won the World Series. No one's talking about these guys. I mean, not to get off track here, but sorry, that's my rant. Had to get that off. It's one per episode, one rant per episode.
No, you're allowed that. You can always do a couple more if needed. I know. I could tell you like talking about some stuff.
Well, we got a ton of topics here in the chat. Did you want to segue to one of them?
So there were a bunch of card shows last weekend in New England. How'd that go for you?
So I was at the EC3 Con at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, which is I've called it my favorite show. I've called it the best show in the area. It traditionally has been a really good split, 50% sports, 50% Pokemon. I didn't really walk the floor all too much, so I can't attest to what some other people are saying, but I guess people are saying that it was like 80 to 90% Pokemon and the rest sports, which was a little confusing, a little puzzling to me. Again, can't testify to that. But either way, it was a great show. And of course, there was a show at Quincy. There was the one at Gillette. I think there was even another local show. So, I mean, it was really busy in terms of card shows. And I think when you have that many shows in one weekend, I think, that's a bad idea just because it spreads the people thin. Mm-hmm. But Mohegan had great foot traffic. Uh, Mrs. Murph was set up at Quincy doing some marketing and advertising. She said that there was great foot traffic there. And I mean, obviously, people with card vaults, at the Gillette show are going to say that there was great foot traffic there. So let's just take them for their word. Let's just say that it was three shows all within 2 hours of each other, especially two shows within like an hour from each other, like 40 minutes, 30 minutes, all having great foot traffic. That just shows the hobby is alive and well. And people that say that the hobby's not alive, that it's not well, it's not in a good spot, I think are people that are either struggling to have an ROI, return on
Mhm.
investment in this hobby, struggling to make money, or into it for a wrong reason, or looking at it from the wrong lens. Because we're both collectors, but we're also both, buying and selling and trading cards as well. And I'll say this as even though the economy's down, society's, not in a good spot, politically and all that stuff, I think the hobby's in a great spot right now. I'm meeting new collectors frequently, constantly. People are still coming in. They're buying boxes. I just got wiped out for Black Friday on a lot of stuff. People are buying singles. It's in a good spot, whether it's the middle of football season. Over the summer it was a little tough, but there was the Mohegan show in June and it did very well. It's in a good spot. And I mean, I think you said you've been going to shows out in the Chicago area. Did you end up going to that show that was at the Stevens Center?
No, I wasn't able to. I That's what I miss most about. Well, that's not what I miss most about living in Massachusetts, but that's one of the things I miss most about living in Mass. All the shows every weekend, basically.
It's crazy that like Massachusetts and Rhode Island, you can even throw Connecticut in there. It's like a really small portion of this country, but there's a ton of shows. And I know you could probably go to any other place like California, you could probably find a dozen shows all within probably like 2 hours driving if you really wanted to. But again, that just shows the hobby's in a good spot. If that is true, a dozen shows within 2 hours of each other. Um, Me personally, I'm not doing any shows except a local Cranston show on December 10th, but just
Hmm.
because I want to kind of obviously be here and such like that for the holidays. But again, I think the hobby's in a great spot, and card shows is one of the best identifiers of that. I mean, Burbank just had their big show. I think it was in August. Was it a week after the national? And that place was packed. And typically, a lot of people did a lot of buying at the national, and they're still there at the Burbank show. Guess what? Buying. So people saying that the hobby's not in a good spot, go to a card show. Go to not like your local 20, 30 table local show because those aren't the best identifiers of that. Go to a regional show, a bigger scale show, a 80 table, 100 table show, and you'll see how really good of a spot it's really in.
It's definitely thriving right now for collectors. Collectors, I feel like collectors are taking back the hobby from flippers and all that stuff. The only
I
people
mean,
who are the only people who are saying that that the hobby is down and slow and all that are the flippers.
bingo. I couldn't agree more. And like since 1952 tops, when baseball cards really hit the market. I know those cards before then, but that was like pretty much for all intents and purposes the inception of sports cards. Ever since then, all the way till today, collectors have been through it all, whether it was the highs, the lows, the junk wax era, uh, the COVID spike, to today. They've always been a part of the hobby, and they are the foundation of the hobby back then, today, and moving forward. Flippers are going to come and go. That's just the nature of it. I mean, ever since COVID, you could say that about any hobby, really. I
Hmm.
think I think sports cards are in the same boat as like action figures, as vintage video games. We could do this all day about a bunch of different collectibles. But the collectors is what makes that hobby, and the collectors will push that hobby successfully moving forward. And sports cards, I think, is no different. And like you said, collectors are taking back the hobby. How many? I couldn't tell you how many. I mean, there was the guy that I set up next to, JM Sports Cards. I do a bunch of deals with him. He was set up next to me. He had a husband and wife sitting at his booth, just going through dime boxes and dollar boxes for probably 4 or 5 hours one day. I think it was on. I think it was on Saturday, and they're collectors. 4 or 5 hours of just going through dime boxes, both of them. I mean, that's impressive. That's really, really impressive.
I,
So,
I like seeing those older collectors come with like checklists of the cards that they need from like
mhm.
1970 whatever or 80 whatever, and just trying to
my
build a set. I like seeing that. It's pretty
my
cool.
favorite part is they could care less about the name of the player. It's just the number. I need
Mhm.
number 274 and I need number 391. Couldn't
Don't
even tell you who that player is,
yeah.
and they can't tell you who it is. Just the number. That's all they care about. Speaking of that, there was a kid at the Shriner show at the beginning of the month. He was collecting, I think, one of the new Mosaic basketball sets, I believe it was, or maybe the Prism set. I don't know. Cute kid, he's probably like 10, 11, 12 years old. And he had the paper with the numbers, no names, just the numbers. And he was going through and crossing it off. And it's like seeing a kid that young doing that is just really, really assuring. It's really exciting to see because that that's the hobby right there at its
Mhm.
purest, essentially at its youngest. And, it's just really, really, really good to see.
I'd rather see a kid do that than flipping everything.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, I'll always say this. If you buy a card for your collection for $10 and down the road you see another one that's for $20, but you go sell that first card that you got for $10, let's just say you sell it for $10. Now you're essentially making the next card that's $20, really $10. And like I tell people all the time, that's perfect. That's exciting. You have a card, you savor it, you enjoy it, you collect it, and then you either outgrow it or you find something that you want more. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people should do, and it's really exciting to see because let someone else enjoy that card. Say your card's out of 99, but that other one's out of 50. Go sell the out of 99 and go buy the out of 50. Like that's the
Mhm.
kind of flipping, let's call it, that I want to see. I mean, I know it's really not, but you get the point. So it's I really hope the days of flipping are kind of behind us. And I see Burbank a lot, kind of, Rob, he kind of talks about putting cards in collectors' hands, finding them forever homes. And I love that idea. I love that concept. I really do. Sorry, I need water. I have like severe cotton
Yeah,
mouth after that.
no, it's just funny because sometimes because you're starting to see like all these like YouTubers and influencers and all that stuff. You're starting to see who was really in it for the cards or who was really in it just for the money. You see some
Yeah,
of them jumping ships, starting to sell other stuff like Rolexes and stuff, or just making regular content now.
I mean, it's really hard. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really hard to make money in this world, in this society, outside of like your regular 9 to 5 job. And even then, finding a job can be difficult for people. But like buying and then flipping and like having a side hustle, in the real world, it's really hard, especially when it comes to like excess disposable income to just kind of flail around out there. And some people have it, some people don't. But I agree. There's a lot of content creators, influencers who are kind of pivoting, changing gears, jumping ship, or whatever it may be, because that COVID money, from a couple years ago is now gone, so they're not able to make it, or they're not able to sell people things who were making it themselves. And that's why I always try to preach, be a collector in this hobby, in this space. You will
Mhm.
never be disappointed. You won't be. I mean, for you, for instance, you like Juan Soto, you like Mookie Betts, and you'll probably pick up, James Wood cards through the nose, probably for the next however long. You're never going to be upset about buying a Mookie Betts card. You're just not. You're not going to be upset about buying a Juan Soto card. You're just not. Even if they suck this coming year, and knock on wood, let's say they don't, but like you're still going to enjoy that aspect of it. It's like, wow, I've never seen this Juan Soto card before. I mean, Joe the other day came by and he was at a card show, I think on Saturday. So he came by Sunday and he dropped off it's up there somewhere, a Paul George in-person autograph card. I was like, as much hate and criticism as he gets and the Clippers gets, I love that card. That's awesome. I mean, I'm probably the only Paul George fan you're going to find on this side of the Mississippi. It's just a fact. And as poorly as the Clippers are doing, and as much as I didn't like the James Harden trade, I love that card. So it's like, you got to love what you collect and what your space, the reason why you're in this space.
The only thing that could possibly turn me off from Juan Soto is him getting traded to the Yankees.
Now that would be an absolute disaster.
That
And I
that
don't
would be
know why the Padres would do that because he's so young, he's so talented. I mean, even in a down year, he still hit 35 home runs or whatever it was. I mean, he was in
his down seasons are better than your favorite player's best season.
agreed.
Let's just put it that way.
So like why would you trade that? And you're not going to get nearly what you spent to get him. You're not going to get a James Wood and a Robert Hassel, Mackenzie Gore and CJ Abrams. Did I just remember that whole trade?
We might
You're not
have.
going to get that back because when you traded for him, he had 2.5 years of team control. So trading top tier prospects made sense. The only way you're going to get them. That's why I was surprised that the Nationals did it, and B, the Padres wanted to do it. Because you had to spend so much to get him outside of monetary value. And now where he has 1 year left on his contract, I mean, what team's going to want to give up top tier prospects with no guarantee that they're going to sign? Like the Red Sox. They should have got way more for Mookie Betts when they traded him. But he only had 1 year of team control, and that turned a lot of people off because there was no guarantee that he was going to re-sign with that team. Was it like 3 days after the Dodgers trade for him, he signs a 12-year extension? But that's not a guarantee. Maybe Juan Soto, let's say he hates the Yankees. Say he doesn't want to be a Yankee. He's not going to sign there unless they throw him $500 million. Then he'd be stupid to not. So it's like baseball market in terms of trading is very complex. Very, very complex. But I mean, let's just pivot here. The hot stove for this offseason, Sonny Gray and Kenta Maeda, is that really the only news that we're going to get through the first month of the offseason? That's literally been it.
What's the Japanese pitcher that just got posted? I forget his name, but
there was two of them actually. I think it was a righty and a lefty. Oh, okay. I don't know their names, but I think I know who you're talking about. It's not Yoshi, right? Yeah, it's not Yamamoto, right? That's not who you're talking about. Yoshinobu.
Sounds something
Yamamoto.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm surprised
he's like the guy. But then there was two other Japanese pitchers that got posted too.
All right, let's talk about the guy.
The guy.
I'm surprised he hasn't signed because I know his posting has like an expiration date. So I feel like something
45 days. So like, I mean, I think I know I mentioned this to you, and I know I mentioned it on the episode I did by myself, and I've been saying this to people here at the shop. I don't think any of these guys are going to sign until Ohtani signs. I just don't. I mean, if you have a long shot or a chance to sign Ohtani, let's just use the Red Sox. Let's just use the Giants, the Cubs, just some far-fetched teams. Why would you expend these resources on other players who are nowhere near the talent that Ohtani is? Because even though there's no salary cap, there is a luxury tax, and that luxury tax is expensive, and a lot of these owners are probably going to be a lot more frugal with their money, when it comes to signing high-level free agents, because I talked about this before. You look at the Mets, the Yankees, the Padres, the Dodgers, all these teams with high payrolls had very underwhelming seasons this year. And I know the Rangers had a high payroll and they won, but you look at the Diamondbacks, or you look at the Orioles, teams with the Rays, who are always a 90-win team, teams with lower payrolls are actually executing and doing better than teams with higher payrolls. I mean, that's just my thoughts on it.
And the one time the Rays finally signed someone long term, look what happened.
I was telling somebody, because obviously the news with Josh Giddey now has come out in recent days. I just want a resolution. I don't care if they're guilty, if they're innocent, if it happened in this country or that country and it's legal or illegal. I want answers. Is Wander Franco going to be able to play again? Yes or no? Just tell me. If it's no, rip up all his cards, throw him out. If Josh Giddey is going to go to jail or going to get suspended, just let me know. If they're both innocent, let me know. I don't care what the outcome is. I just want to know, because I hate talking about this.
I just want to know why the Wander thing is taking so long.
Isn't it funny that Wander got yanked off the practice field the day that news came out, and we haven't seen or heard of him since, but Josh Giddey was able to play the other night. He was able to suit up and play when that news broke. I decline comments. I recognize the question. I decline all comments. And next thing you know, he's out there, pick and rolling with Chet. It's just like that makes no sense.
I, I mean, obviously, I think it was because of it just being an investigation and allegations for now. But yeah, it is kind of weird.
Then why hasn't Wander been able to play?
No, I agree. That's the thing.
I mean, like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and condone. I'm not going to condone either of them. But like, I will say
Right.
this, and I've
Yeah.
said this before: if it happened in another country where the age of consent is lower, as morally wrong as we can sit here and say that it is, unfortunately, they didn't do anything wrong. If it happened in those countries, if it happened here in the States, different story. But that's why I just want a resolution. Oh, the Wanda Franco thing happened in the Dominican Republic. She's 14. It's the age of consent's 14 down there. Oh, okay, whatever. Just 40 game suspension. Be done with it. There's our answer. All right, great. Same thing with Josh Giddey. It happened in Australia. Age of consent's 14. She's 15. Yeah, it's kind of gross. It's disgusting. Here's a 20 game suspension. All right, let's be done with it.
Yeah, that's when you have to put legality and morality on the scale. Because like,
And
okay,
like,
if they didn't do anything wrong legally, can you suspend them for being weirdos?
like that's the thing. Like, I mean, I guess not, but like, because I mean, once the legal part of it's done, then the league's gonna want to do its own thing. And I mean, what was it? I think the NFL, when the Henry Ruggs situation, man, it was a little bit different, but like
Oh yeah,
that legal thing took its place, but the NFL didn't come out with anything until the legal thing. And obviously now he's in jail for like what, 10 years or whatever, 20 years. Um, so, I mean, even if let's say they are innocent, I mean, I'm sure these leagues are going to want to look into it as they should, but what are they going to find if they're just being gross? But then again, in those countries, in those societies, it's just, I mean, if the age of consent is 14, then it's just normal, I guess,
yeah.
even though we don't think that it is here in the States. But all right, let's really pivot here because this conversation really took a turn here. So I made a video, Ricky, yesterday. Oh, actually, yeah, I recorded it. I edited it yesterday, and I even talked about it a little bit on the Instagram story. It's the top rookie quarterbacks from the 2023 football class: Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, and obviously Anthony Richardson. Those are the four guys we're all pretty much chasing for out of these products. Well, I made a video that actually comes out. We're recording on the 28th here, so it actually came out on Tuesday, just a couple days ago for those that are now watching. And I kind of dig into the nitty gritty of why there's no autos of these guys. There's base cards, there's inserts, but there's no autos. And why is that? Well, from my deep, dark investigations, finds out that Stroud, Young, and Levis all signed Fanatics exclusive contracts. Anthony Richardson did not. Now, all four of those rookie quarterbacks had a meeting with Michael Rubin, Tom Brady, and Travis Scott before those contracts were signed, before those exclusive contracts were signed. Levis, Young, Stroud decided to sign with Fanatics, where Anthony Richardson did not. So I posed the question to you, and I posed the question in the video. And if you haven't seen it, I'd strongly recommend go seeing it because I dive into the more. I look at the checklist and try to figure it out, really where these guys' autos are, if they're redemptions or anything. But for, let's just, continue talking about it here. Go check it out, after this video. But I posed a question to you, Ricky. If those guys who outside of Anthony Richardson are the top guys to chase, which right now it's definitely Stroud. Will Levis had its moments, and Bryce Young, hopefully his time in Carolina is going to turn with the firing of a bunch of coaches. If there's no autographs of those guys, what's the purpose of opening them? Because as far as we know, this hobby is all about young top rookie quarterbacks
Mhm.
and just getting all their short printed cards, getting all their autos, grading it, and then going flipping it. That's why 2022 products struggled so much outside of Brock Purdy, because there was really nobody there to do that. So what's the point? Why should we buy? Why should we open 2023 products when we know there's no Stroud, Young, or Levis?
To
There's a
be
lot to
honest,
digest there. There's a lot to take in.
I was gonna say, to be honest, I don't really have a reason to buy other than to support your local card shop. But
Bingo. Murph's Card Town Sports Shop. Open 7 days a week now until Christmas.
yeah, I don't think I can justify buying these new products at this point until Fanatics
So
takes over.
my
Because
evidence, go ahead.
if they're signing all these new up and coming players now to Fanatics exclusive, then there's no point in buying Panini anymore, right?
So I said, unless you're opening products to have fun, unless you're opening to look for your favorite players on your favorite teams, and again, circle back to the fun part, because that's what it's supposed to be, then there's no point. Then there is no point, especially in the day and the age of the hobby that we are in, and that's to open the rookie quarterbacks, get their cards, get them graded, and go flip them. But you can't do that. You can't do that, except Anthony Richardson, but he's out for the rest of the season. And, oftentimes with injuries, I mean, we could do this all day. I mean, Rodgers, Burrow, Anthony Richardson, all these guys are injured, and all their markets are going to go down and take a back seat, which, we can talk about that if we have a little bit of time after this. So, where can we find a Bryce Young auto? I don't know. Now, in my research, found out before that they signed those Fanatics exclusive contracts, they did sign sheets of sticker autos. So, from diving into deep, dark Reddit forums, literally scrolling and scrolling and reading, it appears and it seems like they're going to save those sticker autos for later, higher, more desirable products like Prism, maybe Optic, Immaculate, National Treasures. I know Flawless is all on card, so
Yeah,
we're not going to get it on Flawless. But imagine opening up a National Treasures card, which you would like, especially at that price point, and you'd like to think that it's all going to be on card, should be game worn, but it's never is. And you're getting a one of one Bryce Young auto, and it's a sticker, especially with the patch, not from anything specific. What's the point of the card? So I think there's like a little bit of a thing with Fanatics and Panini, again, of course, that they can't use those sticker sheets since they're not like they don't have an agreement with
oh,
Panini since they're exclusive to Fanatics. Panini's trying to get them to say, well, they signed it before. Can they be grandfathered in? So that's why we haven't seen any autos. We've only seen them in autos, I believe, in I don't even know. Prism, draft pick Prism, I think, and draft pick Chronicles, maybe. But
they're
we've
probably
barely seen them in anything.
they're probably in Leaf too or something like that.
So, like, I mean, but again, you run into the whole unlicensed thing. Like, people don't like Leaf because of the unlicensed thing. I
Yeah,
love Leaf. I was telling a guy, I love the design. There's always guaranteed autos. They're always numbered. The price point's great. So, like, why should we open 2023? Because no one cares about veteran cards. If you God forbid, you pull a Jalen Hurts out of 10 gold auto out of something, right? It's worthless. What's the state of the hobby going to do when we can't even pull a CJ Stroud auto who's playing out of his mind and arguably in the MVP conversation? Nothing.
yeah.
Nothing.
So by the time Fanatics releases their own football cards with his autographs and all that stuff, they're not going to want him anymore because he's not a rookie quarterback.
That's the thing. And like this coming draft class is poised to be as good, if not better, as last year's draft class, this past year's draft class, which was very good. You got Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix. You got Jaden Daniels, who's probably going to win Heisman. Bo Nix. I know Shedeur Sanders is poised to come out, but he's probably not going to. And let's say Fanatics steals some of those guys too. I mean, Fanatics met with all four of the top quarterback rookies this past year and was able to sign 3 of them. Pretty good success rate. Let's just say they sign Bo Nix, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May. Let's say they don't get Caleb Williams. Let's say they don't get Shedeur Sanders because he's still in college. Is 2024 products going to be worth opening when you can't get any autos? And because Fanatics isn't going to be printing products until 2026, unless there's a court ruling that states otherwise, but that's kind of in limbo right now. I think football products, the market of it is going to tank. I really do. I think just like the sealed boxes, I think the prices are going to come way down. because we can't sit here and give us a legitimate reason outside of opening for fun and opening to find the guys we like on our teams that we like. Because no one cares about running backs, no one cares about wide receivers, no one cares about the top tier defensive players. No one cares about Aiden Hutchinson, who was the best defensive player 2 years ago, or Sauce Gardner for that matter. It's all about quarterbacks, and it's a shame because there's a bunch of good guys on a bunch of other good teams at other positions other than the quarterback. But no one
So
cares.
that makes me wonder about how rookie cards of like Jalen Hurts and Mahomes are going to do now. Now that nobody cares about these, well, I don't want to say nobody cares about the new guys, but if these products aren't going to be focusing on the new guys, then are Mahomes and Hurts and all of them going to come back into the spotlight? They're going to start doing well again. Maybe even
I
Josh
mean,
Allen.
like I said, let's just say we open a product 2023 certified and we pull a Jalen Hurts auto. Are we not going to get excited over that because it's not a rookie? I mean, Ricky, let me ask you this: if you open whatever baseball product and you pull a Juan Soto or Mookie Betts autograph, are you going to be excited about that?
Oh, I'd be excited as hell.
Exactly. Let's just say you pull a Devers, on your favorite team, the Red Sox. Are you going to be excited?
Of
Of
course.
course you are. So, it's going to be really, really interesting. And I've already seen the market drop on a lot of boxes, especially certified, which is the most recent one to come out. And it happened last year. Release day was like 180. It was probably around 180 for like a good month, and then it shot up. But Brock Purdy autos were in it, and Brock Purdy was starting to play well. There's still, talk about Malik Willis, Desmond Ritter, hasn't played yet at that time. I mean, CJ Stroud is clearly the best rookie right now, clearly. But you can't pull his. I don't even know if you can pull his patch cards, to be honest. I really don't. I didn't look into the patch cards part of it. But let's just say you can't. And I know they're not from anything specific. What's the point?
Yeah.
Then we really have to ask ourselves, what's the point? Because base cards are base cards. The next set's going to have more base cards, and the set after that's going to have more base cards. Puzzling. It's really, really puzzling.
At this point, you're just chasing inserts that are case hits, but then they aren't nearly as rare anymore because they're printing a lot more cases.
And I think Panini is going to pump out products for the foreseeable future, obviously because there's a huge demand, of course, but there's also going to be a ton of supply that's not going to match that demand. Just, look at the past couple of years. I mean, retail wax has been sitting on big box store shelves because of the saturation and such, and which is a good thing because flipping retail should not be a thing. It shouldn't.
What a time.
Again, unless it's like an older product, like 2020 Prism, blasters that are going for like 150. That makes sense. But like 2022 Prism blasters should be like $30, $35, whatever the MSRP is.
That was such a crazy time.
Yeah, and imagine if we had this past draft class. Now, I know 2020 and 2021 were really good quarterback draft classes, but let's just say we had this whole Fanatics exclusive thing with Bryce Young, Stroud, and Levis back then. So when you're opening these blasters and you're paying through the nose for these blasters and mega boxes, opening these products, looking for these quarterbacks, and knowing that you're not going to find any of their autos, it would have tanked the market, I even believe, back then. Because that's what you were looking for. You were looking for Herberts. You were looking for Burrows and Tuas. And then in 21, you were looking for T-Loft, Fields, Mac even at the time, Trey Lance, all those guys. But to know, imagine if Trevor Lawrence was a Fanatics exclusive a couple years ago when those products were coming out. It would have tanked it. It would have tanked it. So we'll see. I mean, I'll try to keep up to date with it because I do think it's a very interesting topic of conversation. I really, really do. And we'll see where that goes between now and the foreseeable future, whenever the next court ruling is with them and such. Let's see. We probably have time for one more quick conversation.
Yeah,
And
I know you wanted to talk about Pokemon a little bit.
so, yeah, I wanted to dive into Pokemon. I really want to cover all our bases here with, the hobby and such and talk about, the quarterback markets, card shows, obviously we talked about, the Fanatics thing, but I know a lot of people don't collect Pokemon and a lot of people do. So I know both groups of people. But if you had to ask yourself, Ricky, if you were to start over right now, your complete collection, would you still go? Because obviously you know a thing or two about Pokemon. I mean, you got a Gengar and a Pikachu behind you, so you know a thing or two. Would you still go the sports route, even with what we just talked about with Mac Jones playing bad, with Josh Allen playing bad? Obviously, we were just talking about the Fanatics exclusive things. Like, if you were to start over, would you still go with sports?
Oof, that's a good question. Jeez, if I were to start over, I'd go with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Now that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Man, we used to play that all the time as a kid, going to the tournaments and all that stuff.
Bringing the
Going to
decks
the
to school and such. Yep.
going to the stores just to buy packs and all that stuff. So I
So
don't have I don't have too much like nostalgic emotional connection to Pokemon. Like, yeah, I like Pokemon. Like you said, I have the Gengar.
no, you got to. Yep, there you go. Yep,
I have the
yep.
Gengar and Pikachu up there, but
You're like me trying to point to like, oh, here's a card to the video, and I'm like pointing over here. Here's the card, but it's gonna be above your head, not mine. So I'm like
no, but yeah, I don't
over
have
there.
too. I never played Pokemon. We used to collect them. I never understood the rules and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't have as much emotional attachment to Pokemon as I do Yu-Gi-Oh. But man, if I knew then what I know now about Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff, I would have saved all my cards.
Couldn't agree more. And I posed the question because a lot of people ask me oftentimes, they'll come in here. It's like, oh, how does Pokemon have value? And I tell them, it's like, well, it's old, it's nostalgia. A lot of people, around our age, even older, are playing the game, the video games, they watch the show. So there's just a lot of nostalgia, a lot of sentimental connection and meaning behind that. And obviously, then there's, age becomes a factor of the cards.
People
But
don't realize too, Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, not Yu-Gi-Oh. Pokemon is a worldwide thing.
huge. It's massive. Like, I mean, a bunch of kids, 5-year-old kids coming in and looking for packs and looking for cards. And I know a bunch of people who are obviously shopping for Christmas for sealed Pokemon stuff so their kids can open it. And like, it's great because it really, obviously the games are still relevant. And of course, there's still shows and movies that they pump out for, kids and adults. um, but like in terms of the hobby, it's like, I tell people all the time, especially with the Wander and the Giddy situations, like Charizard ain't tearing an ACL. He ain't getting, he ain't getting locked up. He's also not dropping 50, but I think the rarity in the design of the card kind of masks the lack of good performance that he would so have if he was a sports card. There's just no volatility. There's no risk. Charizard ain't doing anything. Pikachu ain't going to do anything besides get cool designs and keep getting printed, and people still going to love them.
Well, that's
You
like the
grab.
card that you sold me. I saw it on your story or whatever,
Yes, sir.
and I fell in love with it because of the art. I don't know what it's worth. I don't care what it's worth. I just liked how nice it was.
And that's what a lot of people, that's like the original principle behind why people buy Pokemon cards, is because the design's cool, the artwork's cool, and then you can kind of get into the rarity, and then you can kind of get into like the nostalgia, and obviously that the game does play a factor, but a very small factor compared to Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic. You even look like one piece cards even. I mean, they're insanely competitively played. They obviously have the show. They have I think the live action show now. It's been around for 20 years. I mean, there's just so much there, and there's no risk. No risk. They're not they're not tearing the ligament in their hand like Joe Burrow. They're not getting traded to another team. They're not getting benched. So it's safe. So I mean, I guess I'll ask myself the question. If I was to start over, would I go with sports or Pokemon? I think in terms of collecting, I'm gonna go with sports just because I wasn't into Pokemon when I was a kid like you. I was into Yu-Gi-Oh! So I would also collect the Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But let me just put myself in the general public's mindset of just kind of buying, selling, and trading. With what I saw at the Mohegan show this what was it, last weekend? I'm gonna go with Pokemon, to be honest, just because of how insane it is. And like you said, it is global, it's worldwide. You go over to Japan, it's a monster over there. It's probably the biggest IP in the country. I'm just taking a guess. I really can't, I have nothing to back that up. But like you look over here in the States, Disney is probably the biggest IP. I would strongly guess. I mean, they own just about anything you can think of.
They
Over
even
there, I'm
own
probably
ESPN, so
they own ESPN, Star Wars, Marvel. I mean, what don't they own? Let's just ask ourselves that
yeah.
question. Let's try to figure out what they don't own.
It's easier
So
to
I'm
name what they don't own. Yeah.
exactly. So like I'm just gonna guess that Pokemon is the biggest IP in Japan. Again, nothing to back that up, but let's just say it has to be a top 10 IP over there. There's a lot of people in Japan. Now it bleeds over to the States. A lot of people here in the States. I mean, I even have booster boxes in my collection now. A year ago, I never would have fathomed that. So it's just a safer, it's more fun because they look cooler. They're always printing more Pokemon. They're always reprinting Pokemon. It's a really interesting topic to have because a lot of people who've been around the hobby for a long period of time only know sports cards, rightfully so. But now you introduce the element of Pokemon into the average day to day sports card thing and all that good stuff, or a hobby, and it's a wrinkle. It's a
So
safe wrinkle for people.
here's the thing: everyone in America, for the most part, knows who Pikachu is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think everyone in Japan knows who Brock Purdy is.
Could they even tell you what a Brock Purdy is? Let's just they might
Like
think it's something else than a person.
they might think that's Brock from Pokemon. That might think that's his last name.
Exactly. So it's a really interesting conversation. Like I said, going to the Mohegan Show, I've always said it was 50-50, and that's how I always felt that it was. And then people tell me that it was 80 to 90% Pokemon. And I think a lot of these sports card shows are starting to introduce a lot more Pokemon vendors. I mean, I think the Woburn show uh, was even trying to have a TCG only show one month. I think it's actually coming up. I think it's on December 3rd. They asked if I wanted to set up, but it doesn't work with my schedule. So we see shows in these showrunners switching and gearing towards more and more and more Pokemon, which is good. Which is I think good. It's gives you variety. It gives you something because there's always going to be a new Pokemon set. I mean, there's going to be more new Pokemon sets than there are more draft classes and more rookies. So there's always going to be a variety. There's always going to be an influx, and plus a lot of your fan favorites, Mewtwo, Charizard, Pikachu, they're going to get reprinted with cool new artwork and cool new designs. I mean, no matter what the design of a CJ Stroud card looks like, if it's not a rookie, who cares? Apparently, Jalen Hurts. If it's not a rookie, who cares? That's just the unfortunate truth. As we do with every single episode, Ricky, obviously we are up against it. Do you have any outgoing takes, comments, or anything you'd like to drop before we end today's episode?
First and foremost, by James Wood.
Thank you. Forgot that last time.
Second, I feel like now with the holidays coming up, where everyone might need some extra Christmas cash and all that stuff, you might, if you have some spare change, you might want to start looking into buying, especially now that the market's low and all that stuff, because it will rebound eventually. If you don't feel the need to flip and all that stuff, and you can wait a little bit to make some money, invest. I think now might be around a good time to start buying again.
I had 2 points and you took one, and that was it's a buyer's market. I still think it's a buyer's market. We looked at the Josh Allen market earlier, and obviously there's really little to no hope for Mac Jones. But again, a Prism 9 is probably like $7 on eBay right now. Let's just say he lights it up, or he gets traded, or he just on a different team next year. Just little things like that. Is $7 really going to be something you're going to lose sleep over? No, but if you can turn 7 into a $30 card, you do that a million times over. So I think it's a really good buyer's market. Again, Josh Allen, super low right now. If he makes the playoffs, let's say they go on a run, that card's not going to be $63 or whatever it was. So yes, I agree. I think it's a really good buyer's market. The market will rebound. It always does. It always spikes in the fall and then dips by the holidays. And then afterwards it rises because of the Super Bowl, the playoffs and the Super Bowl. It just in and out all the damn time. But the point that I want to add, my outgoing take is this holiday season, if you are looking for sports cards, Pokemon cards, hobby products, or just anything hobby related, consider shopping local at your local card shop. Again, whether it's Murph's Card Town or your local card shop, wherever you are, consider shopping local just because during the holiday season they would greatly appreciate it. Plus, they probably have the same stuff that your big box stores have, anyways. Um, I can't testify for every card shop, but at least for mine, all my blasters, all my retail products are MSRP price that they should be. Recent Pokemon sets, these big box stores have been charging $5 to $10 over MSRP price. Like the 151 ETBs, they were charging $55. I was charging 50 is what they should be. What was the Paradox Rift boosters? They were charging 55. They should be 50. So just really just consider shopping local this holiday season because, again, it would be greatly appreciated. And I think I can say that for all small businesses in general, hobby shops or other small businesses. So that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Ricky, we had a great conversation. We were literally all over the map in today's episode, which is good. We were talking about a bunch of different stuff, and that really generates a lot of great topics. It generates a lot of good discussion through these topics. And if anyone has any question, comments, concerns, and want to add anything to our discussion, drop them down below in the comment section, as I would love to read and reply to any and all comments. Ricky, thank you for joining me as always. Hopefully you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you for episode number 8 in 2 weeks.
All right, sounds good.